Eve yelped and flung it onto the counter. The coin spun in a tight circle and dropped flat. As it lay there, its edges began to ripple, like beeswax in a flame. "Mon Dieu," he muttered. What in God's name was happening? The louis twisted upon itself and flipped over. The king's face, with its curved nose, had vanished, the familiar crown and shield too. And as Eve stared, the coin lost its roundness, thinning and separating until it looked like a bent harness buckle. He reached out a tentative finger to touch it. It was a bent harness buckle. With a cry, he reached for the strongbox. Mixed in with the coins was an ugly tin button, dented on one side, and a crooked piece of type, a letter Q. Worthless scraps of metal. He remembered her exactly. He'd even flirted with her. Red hair, freckles across her sharp cheekbones. Hungry. Not that that excused it. How she'd done it, he had no idea. But what a fool he was to take a gold louis from a girl in a threadbare cloak. If he hadn't been dreaming of the figure he'd cut at the Comte's house, he would have thought twice. Idiot. Maître Hollande was going to kill him. He wrenched open the door and yelled into the crowded street. "Help! Police! We've been robbed!" 2. But Camille had already slipped away through the arches of an arcade, across a tiny cobbled square, down a narrow lane perfumed by the scent of fresh bread, and into the bakery where she now stood. She set her heavy basket, filled with candles and a rind of cheese, on the floor between her feet. She inhaled deeply. Heaven must be like this. Like piles of raisin-studded rolls, braided brioches that flaked a rain of buttery gold when you bit into them, baguettes as long as your arm and still warm inside, sweet pastries that made your mouth water. The women ahead of her took their time, complaining about the cost of bread. "Don't blame me," the baker's wife snapped. "Blame the weather. Blame the Queen. She'd rather fill her wardrobe than her people's bellies." "It's true," another woman grumbled. "Madame Deficit spends money like it's going out of style. And how does she pay for it all?" The woman grimaced. "With our money. They'll tax us even after we're dead and in the ground." Camille's fingers twitched with impatience. People complained about the king and queen, and they complained about the nobles, even when there was absolutely nothing that could be done to change things. Her father, the printer, had called the nobles bloodsuckers, but even he'd needed their business. Hurry! Soon it would be evening, shadows gathering in the city's crooked places. Pickpockets would slink out, madams looking to trap young girls, men who didn't keep their hands to themselves. "Oui, mademoiselle." Camille nodded at the day-old loaves. "I'll take one of those." She hesitated. "And a sweet pastry, s'il vous plaît." Snuggling her cloak around her shoulders, Camille stepped out into the lane. Over the rooftops of Paris, the sky hung like a lead curtain, and the air tasted of metal. This morning she'd found a skin of ice stretched over the water jug in the kitchen. But cold May or not, there was nothing for it. She had one last errand, and the blurry sun was already sinking behind the towers of Notre Dame. Leaving the lane for a busy street, Camille dodged piles of manure and pools of horse piss, not to mention whatever filth people tossed from their windows. To keep from gagging, she burrowed her nose into her worn cloak. It smelled faintly of her mother's perfume. Her pocket felt too large and empty, only a few sous wedged against its lining. With her fingertips, she traced the coins' thin edges. Still round, she didn't dare to take them out and count them, not on the street. There'd be enough for Alain's wine, as long as the coins didn't change. At the wine merchant's, she chewed the edge of her fingernail, waiting for him to fill a wine bottle from a barrel. When she left, she kept her basket pressed close to her side. She avoided the quarter's crumbling passageways, their entrances as narrow as the doors of tombs. She could almost feel the hands that waited there. Somewhere above her in the tilting buildings, a child sobbed. As Camille turned the corner, a girl as young as her sister came running down the street. Her white face was rouged with hectic circles, her hair aflame, her eyebrows darkened to seduce, and her corset pulled tight to give curves to her child's body. Under the dirty hem of her dress, bare feet flashed.